The war against Ilhan Omar continues, this time with a video of her. This is from last year. She was on Al Jazeera with Mehdi Hassan, and she was talking about terrorism. And there's two videos that are important here. It's the video of what she said, and the video that right-wingers across the country have been exposed to, because what happened was they deceptively edited the video, taking out a chunk from the middle that made clear that she was using a sort of rhetorical flourish, as well as more context afterward. Now, rather than confusing you by showing you the full video and then what the right-wingers were using and spreading on Twitter, Parker Malloy on Twitter, she did a great thing where she put together the full video and then just highlighted the sections that were removed. So we're gonna show you the video now, the first part, and take a look at what was removed.
A lot of conservatives in particular would say that the rise in Islamophobia is a result not of hate, but of fear, a legitimate fear, they say, of quote unquote jihadist terrorism, whether it's Fort Hood or San Bernardino or the recent truck attack in New York. What do you say to them?
I would say our country should be more fearful of white men across our country, because they are actually causing most of the deaths within this country. And so if fear was the driving force of policies to keep America safe, Americans safe inside of this country, we should be profiling, monitoring, and creating policies to fight the radicalization of white men.
Okay, so you saw there the section about if that was the way we were going to run our country was based on these overblown fears, then the first thing I said and the last thing I said would be true. But she's making clear that that's not how she wants our policies to be run. That section being taken out is just about the most dishonest thing you can do. By the way, it's like a 10-second section, so it's not even like you can say, well, the video was too long, I couldn't post the whole thing. You could have left that in, you didn't, and you know why.
Right, well, if they left that in, then they wouldn't have a point.
Yes.
You know, they couldn't do that thing that they do literally all the time, which is, and Parker Malloy, who posted that, that's where I saw it, she does a good job of outlining essentially the move. The conservative move, which is, listen, I'm gonna be utterly disingenuous in trying to spread this thing around because I know that this will be easily spread around, and people will come back right after and disprove pretty much every single aspect of it, but that's not my priority. My priority is getting supporters on the right to have like a very quick thing they can spread and a quick quip they can share that allows them to write someone off. And that's exactly what happened here.
Yeah, and so we're not gonna show you all of the different people that spread the video with the section cut out, but it was all over the place. And Parker did a great job of collecting it is just a murderer's row of right-wing pundits and writers and Twitter personalities and Republican politicians who were just so gleeful, like Dave Rubin tweeting like, oh, let's play that game of is this racist or not? Because he totally watched the full video and did research about it. But Dana Loesch, she covered it on a radio show. Marco Rubio enthusiastically tweeting it out. And then versions of those videos were also played on Tucker Carlson and Laura Ingraham. Understand, they used all of this after we already knew that the video that was being spread was manipulated, but they just loved it and they had to have it. Quick point, she's not actually saying that by the numbers we should be more afraid of white men. But realistically, we probably should be, because according to the FBI's Wray, head of the FBI, most domestic terrorism arrests this year involve white supremacy. And we know if you go back years and years, that's where the deaths are coming from. Now, she's not making that point, but I'm a white male. I think I have the cover to say, yes, if you're actually going to be based demographically, fear of someone, it should probably be the people who are actually committing the terror attacks.
Yeah. This is the classic situation that people on the left have when trying to figure out how to handle people on the right, because she wants to make a complex point. She says, if I were to be crazy like you guys, I would say something crazy like, we should be afraid of all white people. They get rid of the if, but she wants to make a moderate, like I wouldn't even say moderately, a kind of sophisticated point. But do you avoid making those kinds of sophisticated points because you know you're gonna get taken out of context? If you do start to change the way you present your arguments to account for something like that, what we've seen time and time again is they will take literally anything out of context. So if you are trying to not even dumb down your argument, but simplify them into quick little bits, it won't necessarily do anything. That's one way to look at it. I do think that from time to time, like, probably best to avoid saying things like this. Like I think that it's getting away from like the simplistic messaging aspect of politics that the right is so very good at. And the reason they're able to be good at it is that they have such an eager base to repeat whatever is said to them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and there's probably certain things that I would agree. It's not worth it just because of how fake they are. But first of all, it sucks that it's on us. And I question, is there a level of careful we can be that will overpower how disingenuous and nihilistic they are?
So you say careful. And I mean, I kind of pose it as this discussion have, but my actual opinion on it is it's not being careful. It's being good at it. It's being better at it. It's being effective at it. And yes, I think that part of it is the moderates within the so-called moderates within the party being too careful. And not focusing on being the most straightforward, simplistic, and effective they can be. That's why you get this wishy-washy feeling out of Nancy Pelosi being like, I don't want to do this. It's up to you if you want to do impeachment or not. But I think if it is a simple, straightforward argument like, hey, here is a list of policies that most Americans agree on, and it's pretty obvious why. We're just gonna make our platform that. It'll be like healthcare for everybody, Medicare for all. It'll be eliminating this huge debt that students face, and a list of other things that you can see that Bernie Sanders does a very good job of communicating on his messaging.
Final point, so the initial video went out, right-wingers just jumped in it, could not even spare a minute or two to see if what they were watching was true. I mean, this is to everybody. Now, obviously Dana Loesch isn't watching, she's not gonna learn anything, she's paid very well not to learn anything, but for everyone, if you watch a video and you think, oh my God, that is everything I wanted it to be, and you notice that there's like a cut in the middle, maybe there's a reason that there's a cut in that middle. Not necessarily, videos do have to be edited down. But if it just confirms everything you want to believe is true and it has some cuts, maybe look into it a little bit. Now it's been revealed obviously that the video is deceptively edited. Marco Rubio doubled down, Dana Loesch is flailing like 20 tweets about why she's still right, when we know exactly what they did. They saw it, they probably didn't even watch the full deceptively edited video, and they retweeted it with something snarky because they thought it proved their point. Because they were so blinded by their hatred and suspicion of people like Ilhan Omar that they couldn't be bothered to do a couple of minutes of research. Here on the Damage Report, we talk a lot about the big banks and their ways of getting rich off the poor. They saturate the market, but there are other options. And I've got info on a socially and environmentally responsible financial institution that has no ATM fees, gives you cash back on every purchase. They even commit 10% of their earnings to charity. It's called Aspiration, and if you go to aspiration.com/TYT to sign up, you'll get these perks, and that's more money to spend or to save or to spend. Just treat yourself.